History doesn't remember the quiet ones. It remembers the loud, the conquerors, the kings, the names carved in stone. But the truth of how our world was built lives in the silence between those names. The people who shaped everything we know rarely made the headlines. Their hands drew the blueprints of civilization, then disappeared behind the curtain of time. Centuries before modern code or computers, a scholar in the deserts of Persia was writing equations that would change everything. His name was Al-Khwarizmi. From his mind came the language of algebra, the foundation of logic itself. He showed that problems could be solved step by step, rules, patterns, sequences. Those ideas evolved into algorithms, the very code that powers your phone, your car, your entire digital life. His name became a word, algorithm, but few remember the man behind it. Long before telescopes reached the stars, another thinker mapped their movement with nothing but geometry. Apollonius of Perga studied the shapes of the heavens, ellipses, parabolas, hyperbolas. Centuries later, Kepler used those same patterns to describe the orbit of planets. Apollonius never saw space, yet his drawings captured its rhythm. While his name faded, his curves still traced the paths of worlds. In the 12th century, inside the stone walls of a convent, a woman listened to the pulse of creation. Hildegard of Bingen was a nun, a mystic, and one of history's first scientists. She believed the body and soul were linked, that music could heal what medicine could not. Her writings on herbs, anatomy, and psychology were centuries ahead of her time. In an age when women were silenced, she lectured kings and popes. Today, her theories whisper through modern holistic medicine. Generations later, a photograph changed science forever. In a London laboratory, Rosalind Franklin aimed an X-ray beam at a strand of DNA. The image she captured, photo 51, revealed life's secret structure. But recognition never came. Her data was shared without her consent. The Nobel Prize went elsewhere. She died before her role was acknowledged. The double helix became famous, but the woman who exposed it was almost erased. In Victorian England, hospitals were more dangerous than the diseases they treated. Surgeons worked in bloody coats. Infections spread faster than cures. Then came Joseph Lister. He introduced carbolic acid to sterilize instruments and wounds. His peers mocked him, called him a fool. Yet, within a generation, surgical deaths were cut in half. He proved that cleanliness could save lives. The modern concept of hygiene, something we take for granted, began with a man everyone once dismissed. Sometimes the greatest courage isn't found in invention, but in defiance. In 1940, Japanese diplomat Chiune Sugihara was stationed in Lithuania when Jewish refugees flooded his gates, fleeing the Holocaust. His government ordered him to turn them away. Instead, he spent nearly a month handwriting thousands of visas, day and night, until his hands bled. Over 6,000 people escaped because he disobeyed. He lost his career, but never his conscience. Not far away, another act of quiet heroism took place. Noor Inayat Khan, born to Indian royalty and raised in Paris, joined Britain's secret war agency. She became a radio operator in Nazi-occupied France, transmitting intelligence under constant risk of capture. When they finally caught her, she was tortured but refused to betray anyone. Her last word before execution was "Liberté." History called her the spy princess. But she was more than that. She was proof that courage can speak softly and still echo forever. Long before her, a boy named Olaudah Equiano was taken from his home and sold into slavery. He survived years at sea, bought his freedom, and taught himself to write. His autobiography, published in 1789, gave the world its first detailed account of life in bondage. His words fueled Britain's abolition movement. He transformed suffering into testimony and helped end a trade that had chained millions. Across the mountains of Armenia, a priest named Komitas listened to the songs of his people. He believed every melody carried memory. He traveled from village to village, recording thousands of folk tunes. an entire nation's voice preserved in ink. When the genocide began, he was arrested and broken. He never recovered, but his archives survived, and through them, a culture refused to vanish. In 1951, in a Baltimore hospital, Henrietta Lacks lay dying of cancer. Without her knowledge, doctors took a small sample of her tumour. Those cells refused to die. They divided endlessly, becoming the HeLa cell line, the foundation of modern medical research. Vaccines, cancer treatments, even space experiments relied on her cells. For decades, no one told her family. Her contribution lived on while her name was buried. Long before laboratories and steel, an empire of gold thrived in West Africa. Sundiata Keita united warring tribes to form the Mali Empire. He built Timbuktu into a beacon of learning and trade, where scholars studied mathematics and astronomy while Europe still slept through the Dark Ages. Legends called him the Lion King, not for fiction, but for his strength in forging unity from chaos. When he died, his story turned to myth, but his legacy shaped continents. In ancient China, around the year 132 AD, Zheng Heng watched the ground tremble and asked why. He built a bronze vessel adorned with dragons, each holding a ball. When an earthquake struck, one ball dropped, pointing to the direction of the tremor. It was the world's first seismoscope, pure physics centuries before modern seismology. No electricity, no sensors, just observation and genius. Centuries later, in a small German workshop, Nicholas Otto was assembling something that would ignite the modern age. He invented the four-stroke engine, the heartbeat of every car, motorcycle and airplane today. Yet the world remembers Benz and Daimler, who commercialized it, not Otto, who gave them the spark. His engine moved humanity forward, while his name stalled in the shadows. In 1657, flames devoured the city of Edo, modern Tokyo. Over 100,000 lives were lost in the Great Fire of Meireki. But from its ashes rose a blueprint for resilience. Streets were widened, buildings spaced, firefighting organized. Tragedy reshaped the city into one of the safest and most ordered in the world. Destruction, it turned out, could be a ruthless teacher. Far across medieval Europe, chaos was sport. Before stadiums and rules, football meant mobs kicking pig bladders through villages. Windows shattered, bones broke, kings banned the game outright. Yet from that violent mess emerged the world's favourite sport. The same passion that once destroyed towns now fills arenas with cheers instead of screams. During the First World War, the sky itself became a weapon and a witness. Engineers strapped miniature cameras to carrier pigeons, letting them fly over enemy lines. Each bird carried a tiny timer that snapped photographs from above, decades before drones existed. Those grainy images mapped trenches, guided missions, and proved that innovation sometimes has wings. But not every experiment was noble. In 1942, Britain prepared a horrifying backup plan, Operation Vegetarian. The idea was to drop anthrax-infected cattle feed over German farmland, destroying food supplies and lives alike. The plan was never executed, but the test site on a small Scottish island remained contaminated for decades. In war, the line between defence and devastation blurs. Archaeologists in Scandinavia once found something small but extraordinary, a lump of ancient chewing gum made from birch tar. It was 6,000 years old. From the DNA inside, scientists reconstructed the girl who chewed it. Her eyes, her hair, even what she'd eaten that day. She never wrote a word, but that piece of gum told her story. Even the pursuit of progress sometimes ends in disaster. In 19th century Florence, engineers experimented with new gas lines. Methane seeped into the sewers. One spark, one toilet, and an entire building exploded. The newspapers called it the exploding toilet tragedy. A grim reminder that curiosity without caution can blow everything apart. And then there was Napoleon. The emperor who conquered half of Europe had an obsession few remember: cheese. He adored brie, until, rumour says, it made him sick before a crucial battle. Whether truth or myth, it reminds us that even the greatest figures are still human. their weaknesses, their quirks, their quiet moments. They shape history as much as wars ever did. From brilliance to madness, compassion to catastrophe, these forgotten minds built the framework of our modern world. Every story, every lost invention, every act of defiance forms a hidden map beneath the surface of history. We are surrounded by their ghosts in the medicine we take, the code we write, the songs we hum, and the freedom we inherit. When you look at the names carved in monuments, remember the ones who never got theirs carved at all. The mathematician who predicted the stars, the nun who healed with sound, the scientist erased by her peers, the spy who whispered liberty with her last breath. They didn't win fame, they won something deeper, the right to be remembered by those who still listen. History isn't just written by the victors, it's carried by the survivors, the silenced, the nearly forgotten. Their stories remind us that greatness doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And when we stop telling those whispers, the world grows a little more silent. This was RealReels, where the past reveals the truth.